Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Wife School show. As always, very, very good to be here. And if you can let me know in the chat that you can hear me, see me, everything is working as it should, and we will get started. As always, I want to give a big thank you to Phil and Evo and Steve for keeping an eye on the chat and keeping it a constructive place to be for everybody. So as always, guys, make their job easy. Keep the conversation on topic. Keep it positive. No trolling. Phil did a great job outlining in the comment the rules of the chat. So follow the rules. So I'll just take a quick peek. Oh, welcome, Mark, your first live stream. It's great to have you here. And hello to Memphis Barbecue. Always great to have you here because you remind me of my hometown. I grew up in Cordova, which is a suburb of Memphis, and I went to high school in Germantown at Houston High School. So always good to see your name pop up. And of course, again, hi to Phil, Steve, and Evo. Hi, Daniel, coming in from North Central Indiana. Also near and dear to my heart. My parents live in Southern Indiana in Jeffersonville, just on the other side of Louisville. And my husband is actually from Evansville, Indiana. But we met out here in Denver. And that reminds me, next week, guys, I will not be live. I'm going to go see my parents in Indiana next week. So there will be no show, but we will pick back up the week after. So hi, Salty Combat Diver. Always great to see you. Yeah, follow the rules, guys. And you're in Houston, Texas. Awesome. I've got family in San Antonio there. And all the way from the Philippines. Nice to have you. Thanks so much for being here. And looks like I'm loud and clear. So we're going to get started. Oh, hi, Love Grows. Always good to see you here as well. That's funny. Looking forward to another dose of misogyny. Yep. That's what it can be misconstrued as, but it sure isn't, guys. I'm here to help men and women. So let's get into it. What we are talking about today is why your wife stays in therapy and reads self-help books. And ladies, this is for you too. If you're wondering why you're still in therapy and reading all those books and ordering all the books on Amazon, that is what we are getting into today, to take a deep dive and what's really going on underneath that we need to be awakened to. So the reason I want to talk about this today is I had a couple of lovely calls with two lovely women this week who thanked me for their red pill. They thanked me for their red pill. They actually watched my videos because their husbands were brave and sent the videos to them. And they were open-minded and let in what I was talking about and could see themselves and awaken to the truth of how they have been in their lives and in their marriage. And they were very grateful. So I like to remind us, I do call my channel The Red Pill for Women, even though I am here to help men and help both women and men. I do call my channel The Red Pill for Women because I'm a red-pilled woman that I met my mentor about 10 years ago. And I was very much stuck in my life and stuck going to therapy and doing all the things to try to work on myself and change, and nothing was working. And he helped me to get honest with myself and see the truth of what I was doing and how I was keeping myself stuck, how I was the problem in my life, and that I needed to learn to take responsibility and take accountability in order to make changes. And one of the first red pills that I took was seeing what I was doing to myself, staying in therapy for years and reading tons of self-help books, along with a lot of other things that I was doing in the what I call the woo-woo world, and that it wasn't working in what I was doing to myself. So this is a red pill for women to wake up to the treadmill you are keeping yourself on in therapy, and also for men to understand their wives. If you have a wife who is constantly in therapy, has been in therapy for a long time, is constantly ordering self-help books and reading self-help books, I want to give you an inside peek to what's really going on so that you can also be awakened to the reality of what is happening. And and be able to not get sucked in to the web that we create as women. So, like I said, one of my first red pills was seeing how stuck I was keeping myself and going to therapy, and where I was keeping myself stuck was camp victim, blaming and putting the problems in my life and the insecurities in myself outside of me onto people and circumstances of my life, which kept me very, very stuck. All the while, this is fascinating, all the while that I was a mess on the inside because I went to so many years of therapy, because I read so many self-help books and did so many things to work on myself. I thought I was incredibly evolved and just the most spiritually enlightened person out there, when in reality, I just had a really big ego, and it was a way to hide and cover up all the insecurities and issues that I still had. So one of the things we do as women staying in therapy and reading a lot of self-help books is that we also then believe that we are superior and better than our husbands because of all the work that we're doing on ourselves. And we get very self-righteous, believing that the therapy and the books we're reading and the things we are doing to work on ourselves to try to change is the right way. And we make it look at how much I'm doing. You're not doing anything to work on yourself. Look how messed up you are. That is often the message that we send our husbands when we are in that therapy cycle and reading all the books. And it's a major contradiction because we put ourselves on a pedestal to make ourselves superior to our husbands. Yet the other side of the coin, and staying in therapy and reading all the self-help books, we want to make it look like we are doing something, when in reality, we have no intentions of taking accountability and actually changing. As women, we are such a walking contradiction that we want to stay in camp victim. We want to stay in the problems and perpetuate the problems, yet we continue to feel and present ourselves as superior to our husbands, that we have it all figured out, that our husbands are the ones that are so messed up and they need to get on the game and get themselves figured out. So it's really interesting how we do this, because we essentially emasculate and gaslight our husbands, making them wrong and pointing out all the issues that they have, when really that's a projection of our own inner brokenness onto our husbands. I did a video a few weeks ago that you can find in the videos tab called "Does Your Wife Psychoanalyze You?" And that's a really good video to go check out, of how as women we critique and tear apart our husbands as good men for all the issues they have, yet we're messes spending years and years in therapy. And I want to take just a sidetrack for just a moment to point out something that became very obvious to me once I had it pointed out. I was in therapy for 7 years. I had 3 different therapists in that 7-year period. And what my mentor helped me to see is, if you're in therapy for 7 years, it's not working. Why would you keep going and going and going and going? Eventually, it should work to solve your issues. But I had to see that, one, I wanted issues and I wanted problems and I wanted something to be wrong with me and to be a mess. I also had to see how good I was at fooling my therapist and manipulating my therapist with my different victim stories and the things that I wanted sympathy for, that I wanted validated, the very things to keep me stuck. Third, I also had to see that therapy didn't work. Therapy didn't work. And the reason why is because therapy keeps us stuck in camp victim. It keeps us pointing the finger out again to our past, our upbringing, our husbands, our marriage, the circumstances of our life as the reason why we have the problems that we have. As long as the problems we have are because of people and circumstances and events in our life, we have effectively put the power and control outside of us so that we have no capacity to change. That's what therapy validates and keeps us stuck in, are those stories of what's happened to us, that we have the problems that we have, and we can't change those things. As long as it's my upbringing, that I'm insecure, have no confidence, have no ability to move forward in my life and achieve the things that I want to achieve, I'm never going to change, because in order for me to change, I need my upbringing to change. There's no solution there. There is no solution to pointing the finger outside of us to the circumstances of our life for why we have the problems that we have. We have to move into camp, take responsibility to see, I am where I am as an adult. I am where I am because of my choices and decisions. It's my choices and decisions that lead to my insecurities, that lead me to the circumstances and challenges in my life. And therapy does not lead us to go there. So to me, it became very obvious that if you're in therapy for a very long time and long periods, it's not working to solve the issues and actually move you forward. If it did, you would not need years of therapy. You would go for a few months. You would resolve the issues and move forward in your life and be a stable, steady, functioning adult. However, here's what's really going on for us as women. And this is what I had to see about myself. And it is also what I've worked with hundreds of women around, of what's going on underneath the surface, that we keep going to therapy when it isn't solving our issues, when more issues are popping up. We keep reading books and keep reading books, yet we stay stuck. Here's what's going on underneath us. We want to believe that there is something wrong with us and be in a forever state of seeking. I'm going to repeat that. We want to believe that there is something wrong with us and be in a forever state of seeking. Why? Because we want to be a project that we are constantly working on, because it is our excuse to not understand ourselves or life and how to do life, which dissolves us of any responsibility. When we are in a forever state of seeking, then we are a constant project that we are always working on and are never fixed. And if we're never fixed and we have our problems as our excuse to not understand ourselves, to not understand how to do life, it effectively dissolves us of any responsibility in our lives. The problem is, if we were okay, if therapy worked, if we got the answers in the books or the other things we do to work on ourselves, we would be okay. The problems and issues would be resolved, and we would be perfectly emotionally healthy and stable and functioning in our lives. The problem with that we don't want as women is then we would have nothing to work on or fix. Constantly being a project to fix and resolve our brokenness is a place to hide. Therapy and constantly reading self-help books are a place to hide and have the perfect excuse of why we aren't where we want to be, why things aren't working, why we have the problems that we have. It was very eye-opening to me and has been very eye-opening to many women that I have worked with, that being a seeker is a self-identity. Being a seeker is a self-identity. What does that mean? When we don't really know who we are and we don't have a connection to ourselves, we don't have a path to find the answers in us. Just I didn't have a path to find the answers in me. So I wanted all the books to give me the answers about myself in life. I wanted therapy to give me the answers about myself in life. It gave me a sense of meaning and it gave me a sense of purpose. It felt very scary to let those things go, because who would I be and what would be my purpose in life? I had to awaken to the fact that if I found what I was looking for, then I would be whole, I would be complete, I would be fulfilled in myself. I would no longer need to seek. Seeking is the very act of not knowing myself, not knowing who I am, and constantly searching. I had a big aha moment to realize I was not in the books. I was not in therapy. I didn't realize that in my seeking, who I was really searching for was me. and then seeing, oh, I'm not going to find me in reading books. I'm not going to find me in therapy. That I'm going to be in me. And I needed a path to get there. And the more that I read the books, the more that I was going to therapy, the further and further and further I got from myself. Not even realizing it, but then seeing what was going on underneath is that's exactly what I wanted. So that I always had me to work on. And what's going on underneath that for us as women, and why we want being a seeker as that self-identity and constantly being a project to work on and fix. What's going on underneath that as women is that we want to be unhappy. We stay in therapy, we stay reading the books, we stay seeking because deep down we want to be unhappy. So what I want to look at are 3 reasons why, as women, we want to be unhappy. And the first reason that we want to be unhappy as women is that we are control freaks. And being unhappy is something that we can control. We are control freaks, and being unhappy is something that we can control. How does that work? So the experience we have had of being happy is so fleeting that we can't maintain it or hold on to it. It's not something we can control. And the reason our experience of being happy has been so fleeting is that in our humanness, we look for our happiness externally. And when I talk about happiness in this way, or the things we think are going to bring us meaning and purpose, that are going to fulfill us in our life, and I teach that as something called external value. Looking for our sense of value, looking for our sense of meaning and purpose externally in different people and relationships, and our job and our different roles and responsibilities in life. And we check the boxes of the things we think will make us happy. Check the box of getting married, having children, having a career, having the financial stability that we want, even being on a spiritual journey or a seeking journey. Thinking those things will make us happy. All the while, we've all heard 100 different ways that no one and no thing can make you happy. That happiness is something that we get within ourselves. The problem is we've never been taught how to do that. When we seek our happiness and external value, the things that we think will make us feel good, give us that meaning and purpose and sense of fulfillment, that is where we are like a bucket with holes in it. And those things might make us feel good for a little while, and then they leak right out. And then that emptiness and that void within us gets exposed again. And we look for the next thing to check off the box that we think will make us happy. In that experience, our sense of being happy, again, is very fleeting. It's very temporary and very short-lived. We can't control it. Being unhappy is something that we can control. We know how to create our unhappiness. We create chaos and drama in our lives. We feel sorry for ourselves and play the martyr and feel poor me. As women, we are very aware of how we sabotage ourselves and sabotage any sense of fulfillment or happiness in life. We are scared of failure, and in that constantly then sabotage ourselves to find ways to fail and give up. We don't keep our word to ourselves and to others. We don't follow through. We know the very ways to keep ourselves unhappy, which gives us a sense of control. And that's where that control freak comes in. We don't feel we can control being happy because we've always searched for it in the wrong places outside of us, and we can't control that. But we certainly can control being unhappy and know exactly what to do to keep ourselves in that perpetual state of thinking there is something wrong with us, always having something to work on, and then constantly searching and seeking for the answers to ourselves and our lives, which keeps us in a place of feeling bad about ourselves, having an unhealthy relationship with ourselves, which, how I define, is the experience of being unhappy. And this leads to the second reason why, as women, we want to be unhappy. Number 2, being unhappy is a comfort zone. Being unhappy is a comfort zone. And comfort zone is really a misnomer in that we create, just as humans, we create comfort zones as a protective mechanism to protect us from our belief that life is unknown and uncertain. Creating those comfort zones are not actually comfortable in life. They actually make us very uncomfortable because we are hiding and playing small from life. And in living in our comfort zone, we are also living in camp victim, because inside our comfort zones, we believe that the challenging experiences that we have, the struggles we have in life, are happening to us, and they are being done to us. So we have to create a protective mechanism from life, and that comes from a place of being a victim. So the comfort zones are created so that we can be in control of ourselves, because we feel so out of control with the unknowns and uncertainties of life. So our comfort zones protect us from having to experience the unknown. Just a little bit more on that. I like to teach what I was taught and embrace about life is that life is actually very known. When we embrace the reality of life, and that life is a series of ups and downs, challenges, adversities, injustices, unfairness, and that is the reality of life, we might not know what's around the corner. We might not know the different curveballs that are going to come our way in life. But if we expect and know that there will be curveballs, there will be the unexpected, there will be the challenges and adversities, then life is known. That is the reality of life. And I believe that that is the reality of life, because that's what we need in life to be able to grow and learn, to get to know ourselves, to build the confidence and belief in ourselves, to be able to do life, to be able to navigate those ups and downs and curveballs. And it's in that, it's running into life and embracing those challenges, embracing the adversities, that allows us to know how to do life, to feel good about ourselves, which gives us that sense of fulfillment and meaning and purpose. Then we have a healthy relationship with ourselves, which is the experience of being happy, being fulfilled and content in ourselves, accepting who we are and feeling good about ourselves, even in the challenges and the struggles. But we're scared of that. And so we stay hiding in those comfort zones. And the comfort zones actually make us feel small, unsafe, fearful, stuck, unfulfilled, and lost. Unhappiness for us as women is just another comfort zone. It's a place that we know, like from the first reason, we know how to create our unhappiness. So it becomes what we know and what we feel safe in. even though it's the very thing keeping us stuck and keeping us away from life. When I saw this in myself and how I was keeping myself unhappy as a comfort zone, as a way to feel some sense of control in my life, I began to realize why I was so bored. As women, we get really bored with ourselves and really bored with our lives, which is actually what we project onto our husbands as good men, as we think they're boring, they're predictable, they have no life. When really that's the experience of ourselves hiding inside of our comfort zone of being unhappy, that it's really kind of boring. That we keep ourselves there and we keep ourselves mired in problems and mired in our brokenness, needing to go to therapy, read the books, do all these things to work on ourselves. As a very small, boring life, because we're keeping ourselves away from ourselves. And so I just think that's an interesting thing to realize about living in a comfort zone, and why as women we're bored and bored with ourselves. I want women to know that life and marriage and yourself are so much more fun and stimulating when you live and can't take responsibility, that you are creating the experience of yourself and your life, and you get out of your comfort zone and run into life, the very life that you have. It is so much more fun to have a healthy relationship with yourself, to take responsibility for your life and let go of living in a constant state of being miserable, which is what you're perpetuating, reading the books and going to therapy. We're just perpetuating our victim story, which leads us to the third reason why as women we want to be unhappy. Number 3, we want to be unhappy because it aligns with our victim story. As women, we want to be unhappy because being unhappy aligns with our victim story. We all have a victim story. As humans, just in general, we have a victim story of what our life has been, what the circumstances have been that have led to the experience we have of ourselves in our life. As women, in our victim story, we've been building it our whole lives. It is the epitome of a comfort zone, is our victim story. And for women, our victim story creates our wall that we use to push our husband away, to push ourselves away, to push others away, so that we can protect ourselves from life. Because we're pain avoiders, and we do not want to experience the emotional pain of life that is just inherent in the ups and downs and challenges. So we hide inside of our victim story. And our victim story, that's part of why we go to therapy for years, is that we get validated for our victim story in therapy. And it keeps it intact. It keeps it intact. So to be happy and actually resolve our issues and problems, to feel good about ourselves, to be emotionally stable and have a healthy relationship with ourselves, that would be completely incongruent with our victim stories. I can't be happy and feel good about myself and my life and know how to do life and hold on to my victim story at the same time. They do not go together. That was one of the first things that I had to work on, is letting go of my victim story and realizing when I started this path, I was 30 years old. I'm 40 now. When I was 30 years old and I met my mentor and he helped me see I was the problem, that was one of the first questions he asked me was, how old are you? I'm like, 30. He's like, yeah, you are where you are in your life because of you. It's not your parents, it's not your upbringing, it's not your husband, it's not your past relationships with men. It's you. And that was a big wake-up call for me. And it was the very thing that set me free to be happy and have a healthy relationship with myself, to actually get where I wanted to be, or told myself I wanted to be. I had to let go of my victim story. That being happy and having a handle on life is incongruent with having a victim story of poor me and what's happened to me in my life, that I am such a mess. So in order to be happy, we have to let go of our victim story. And it if we look at it and we look at our woman ways and the ways that we emasculate in our marriage, that's a reflection of how poorly we feel about ourselves on the inside. that then we take that out on our husbands. We take it out on other people too, and can emasculate, and meaning shaming and making others wrong to feel superior. We do that with each other as women. If you think about it, a person who's capable of emasculating another, shaming them to feel wrong and bad about who they are, can never conceive of being happy. For us as women, we can't conceptualize even what happiness is. We hide in a facade, pretending to be happy, or pretending we're working toward being happy, but in camp victim and feeling bad about ourselves. Underneath that, we don't want to do anything to be happy. We want to make it look like we're doing something to be happy. Because deep down, we can't conceptualize or conceive that happiness is even a possibility. We don't understand it or what that looks like for us. So it's really this, seems like an altered reality that doesn't exist for us as women. Last night, my husband and I were watching 16 Candles, an old 80s movie that's on Netflix, and we saw it was leaving soon. And we like to watch it from time to time. It makes us laugh. And Molly Ringwald's character, 16-year-old girl, her parents and family forget her birthday. And she's talking to a friend on the phone, and she says something along the lines, I'm not going to get it right, but she says something along the lines like, is it even physically possible for me to be happy? And so this is something as women that we experience and fight against in ourselves from a very, very young age. It's something we realize that we can even have. And then we get stuck in the therapy and stuck in reading the self-help books, and it's not working. That was another dumb moment for me, that if anything that I had read in a self-help book actually worked to make me happy, then I wouldn't have kept ordering books on how to be happy. If I was already happy, I would no longer need any book or anyone teaching me how to be happy, because I would already be it. And that was another big wake up call for me. So happiness only exists in camp take responsibility. It cannot exist in camp victim and holding on to our victim story, because in that, we are also beating ourselves up. We're watching ourselves do the same behaviors over and over and over and over again. Yet we blame our parents and blame our husband and blame other people and circumstances for why we are that way. And in beating ourselves up, not being able to change, a lot of times we also don't even feel deserving of happiness. We don't even feel deserving of happiness. So what's the solution to get into camp take responsibility for us as women so that we can be happy? First, is the very point of this video today. We have to be red-pilled to see the truth of our experience. We have to be willing to be vulnerable and expose what's really going on, which is the purpose of this video and all my videos. Not to beat women up. It's not to hate on women. Because of the journey I have taken to get to know myself and feel good about myself and actually be happy and see the wonderful qualities that I have in myself as a woman who used to emasculate her husband and be a mess. I see the beautiful and wonderful potential in who we are as women that unfortunately and sadly we are very lost from in ourselves. And so this is another option to see what we're doing. One of the best things that I was ever taught was that I cannot heal that which I deny. I cannot heal that which I deny. So part of the red pill and seeing the truth of our experience is getting honest with ourselves. It's seeing the truth of our experience. And it's not the stories that we've lived in. It's the very things we have not wanted to see about ourselves that we know we're doing, but we have suppressed it and denied it within our victim stories. So we have to be waking up, just like I was woken up to see what, thanks, Dad. I get that from my dad. mispronouncing words. I'm like, wait, is that how you say it? But I had to awaken to what was really going on and see the truth of my experience, because as long as I lived in my story of what I thought was happening, I wasn't dealing with reality. And we can't heal at the level of the story. We can only heal in the reality of seeing the truth of our experience, what we are doing to ourselves. And that when I was given the context and given the red pill, and to see that I wanted to be unhappy, that I was staying and going around in circles in therapy and reading all the books because I wanted there to be something wrong with me, because I wanted to be in a forever state of seeking and constantly being a broken mess that I needed to work on. Once I saw it and was given that context, it was like, oh, that is what I'm doing. I see it clearly, and I've known this is what I was doing, but I covered it up from myself. That's what being a victim allows us to do. But once we see it, we can change it. And those are the women that I, for the most part, hear from, as their husbands have shared my videos. They wake up to what they're doing to themselves, just like I did, and they can connect with what I am saying and see it within themselves. So they are out there. Might be the silent majority out there on my channel, but they're out there. And so once we wake up and see the truth of our experience, then that's where we can actually go from camp victim to camp take responsibility. And then what you want to realize, ladies, is that happiness is waiting inside of you as you. When you walk out the door of camp victim into camp take responsibility, to take accountability that you are where you are today because of your choices and decisions, not what has happened to you. You are the reason for your unhappiness. And that's a good thing, because then you can be the solution. You just have to be willing to let go of the stories, let go of the seeker self-identity. It's actually a very small way to live. There's a whole life out there to explore outside the books and seeking and therapy. You have to be willing to find yourself and build a relationship with yourself. And I assure you, you're right there. And what happened for me, and I want to speak to this, I like to every once in a while, because it's very important to me, and I know very important to many viewers in my audience. I could not genuinely and truly feel God at the depth that I can feel and know God today when I didn't have a connection to myself. There was no me in here to be able to experience God and experience him walking beside me and leading me and guiding me in my life, and the different gifts and blessings and challenges that I needed to grow from that he perfectly put in front of me. I had to have a relationship with myself first to truly and genuinely have a relationship with God and feel him walking beside me and guiding me and embracing that in his guidance in my life. So that's so important, to have a relationship with yourself, to really have a true relationship with God. And that was my experience for me. That doesn't resonate with everyone, but for those that it does, that was a really, really important part of my journey. So for the women listening who, because I hear this often, who feel disconnected from God or feel angry at God or feel a victim to God, that he's right there waiting for you when you get out of victim to build a relationship with yourself. What I want men to know, and I want to reinforce, because I've said this before, you are not responsible for your wife's unhappiness. You are not responsible for your wife's unhappiness. You did not make your wife unhappy. You are not the problem in her unhappiness. Just as happiness is an internal experience, our unhappiness is an internal experience because it's an unhealthy relationship with ourselves that leads to not feeling good about who we are, having low self-confidence, being insecure in ourselves. And you did not create that in your wife. We create that in ourselves. So for the good men out there listening, stop believing the gaslighting of your wife, that you are responsible for her unhappiness and that there's something you could do or stop doing that would finally make her happy, because it's not true when she underneath wants to be unhappy because that's her comfort zone and what makes her feel safe in life. She doesn't want to leave that comfort zone. And so there's nothing you are going to do that is going to make her happy. And it's just gaslighting for her to make you believe that you are the problem and that you are somehow making her unhappy. This is what we do as women, and men need to see the reality of what is happening so that you don't get caught in the web of what is going on. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And I am going to look through the chat a little bit. And Evo, thank you so much for sending questions that you spot throughout the chat. That went so fast today. So thank you guys. A couple of things before I hop in. I do have my Rumble account up and running, and I'm uploading videos over there from my channel. But if you prefer and like being on Rumble, please go follow me there. And again, my channel's close. We're just on the edge of 90,000 subscribers. When I hit 100,000 subscribers, that's when my husband and I are going to do a video together. So we look forward to doing that. So share my videos. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And thank you guys so much for the support of the channel. The fact that I think I'm a little over 88,000 right now just blows my mind. So just so wonderful. And I'm excited for the channel to keep growing and new possibilities and content on the way. So you guys stay with me. There's lots more to come. I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, just very, very exciting. So, all right. So, yep, Luke, I am on Rumble. YouTube is the matrix. I'll subscribe on Rumble too. Thanks, Salty Combat Diver. So let me give me just a second, guys. Let's see if there's any questions or comments to address. Right. Oh, wow. So it's snowing and raining here today in Denver, and it is a beautiful spring snow out there. I just looked outside, haven't really looked out since I started, and the trees are all white, just beautiful. So let's see. Thanks for your patience. All right. Thank you, Evo. Oh, good question. From another Karen. Hi, Karen. Great message for women here. Only one question. How come there are only men on this feed or channel? So yeah, and Luke answered it well. Thanks, Luke. There are women too, but they are usually silent. The silent majority. Yes, there are plenty of women watching the channel, plenty of men sending my videos to their wives, and they're reaching out. I often have shared that the majority of students that I have in my courses are women. So they are out there and they are listening. What I think is wonderful is that, one, it's important to know my channel is for men and women. I'm the happy wife. That's why it's called the Happy Wife School. And it is primarily, my mission was waking women up. And then as I started my channel, I realized how many men are out there suffering with what they're experiencing and going through in their marriages and relationships and lives. So I think it's been such a beautiful unfolding that this has also become a safe place for men to be, to know that they're not crazy, to understand the reality of what's happening in their marriage so they can get out of that matrix and web and start to rebuild themselves and their strength and confidence. The comments from the men on my videos are so wonderful when the men out there are sharing, yes, this is me, this is what I've experienced. Because ladies, it helps validate exactly the things I'm talking about, that we have to wake up in ourselves to see, yes, this is what men are experiencing from us, so that we can drop the wall and drop the defense to deny and further gaslight men, to be able to wake up and change for the sake of ourselves, and let the men also have the benefit. And our husbands as good men deserve that. All the things that they have done to fight for us, to fight for the marriage, to be the best they can be, they deserve for us to wake up to ourselves and change. The caveat is we have to do it for ourselves. Because if we try to change for our husbands or anybody else, we won't be in it for ourselves, and we will become resentful and bitter, and we won't actually change. So you have to want to become a better person for yourself, and to become happy for you, and allow your husband and the people in your life to get the benefit. So thank you for the question. Oh, thank you so much, Jojo. That's very kind of you. I always appreciate contributions when they come in, guys. So thank you so much. Jojo says, invaluable information and burden lifting. Married to the same woman for 46 years, and things have gotten progressively worse. Karen shines a light on issues. I still have hope. I just don't have help. Thank you, Karen. Well, good for you to have hope. And just for everyone out there, just a reminder that I have 2 incredible courses. Well, 3 really. I've got my happiness program for women, which teaches you how to find you in you and connect with yourself and feel good about who you are. And then my second course for women is called the Happy Wife Program. And the prerequisite to that is the happiness program. But in the Happy Wife Program, we get specific into your marriage and into your woman ways. And it's really a behavior change course. We do the happiness course first because you have to have a foundation of feeling good about who you are and a connection to yourself to make changes in your behavior and your marriage and in your life and other relationships. And then we also have a men's course to help men to further peel back the curtain on the reality of what's happening in your marriage and rebuild your strength and confidence. And all of these courses were created by my mentor, David, who has invested in me and my coworker, Josie, to bring this message out into the world and to teach. Because David, he's at a point that he says, I don't have the patience to teach. And he's invested so much into us to be able to bring this out into the world, and I'm incredibly grateful. So just know, those out there that want some deeper help and guidance, that those courses are there, and you can join the wait list. I'm changing how I book consultations, so that will change. And we're also working on the Happy Wife School website, so my website will be updated. All really fun things to come. So, all right, let's see. Oh, great question, Mark. My wife seems to have better relationships with others than she has with me. She is always talking with her woman friends, but I am just a roommate. Bless you. That's you're sadly not alone. We can wear a wonderful facade out there in life, and the relationship, unfortunately, that bears the brunt of our unhappiness is our husbands, that we will come home and drop the facade that we wear and carry in our other relationships and take out that unhappiness on our husbands. Just it's sad and unfortunate and how we show up. But that's where men have to understand, okay, what do I do for myself then to strengthen myself, to have confidence so that I can navigate this relationship with my wife and her, and how she shows up and treats me. And what can happen in that is that as you build that strength and confidence, she will gain respect and potentially start to change how she interacts. So thank you for the comment. Let's see. Thank thank you guys for your patience as good questions. Smart Alex 22. What do I do about my mother who has all of these woman ways? Yeah. I don't know about the second part of the question, but the first part, what do I do about my mother who has all of these woman ways? Bless you. Yes, mothers for good men can be very challenging because they do have all the woman ways, and the person that can actually be more challenging is a good man's mother. So it's the same process of learning to build a confidence and strength within yourself as a window into yourself of where am I unknowingly giving my power away to my mother to make me feel this way, and strengthening yourself in those ways. And then you can have healthy, constructive boundaries to navigate the relationship with your mother. You are not alone. And someday I will speak to that. It is on my list of topics, guys. So know that will come. Oh, thank you, Salty Combat Diver. Karen, you are doing what the men in your life would like you to do. If I died today, I would tell the women in my life to turn to this channel along with Jordan Peterson and Psych Hacks. What a lovely compliment and comment. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, all right, guys, I am gonna wrap up here. My husband and I are going tonight. There's an exhibit in Denver called The Infinite, and it's a virtual reality experience. I've actually been once. We went as a team, and it was so cool. So my husband and I are going tonight. It's a virtual reality experience of space. And if it comes to you or near you, I highly, highly recommend going. But my husband and I are going to that tonight. So I'm very excited about that, and hope you guys have some fun plans for the weekend. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here and being a wonderful audience. And again, I will not be here next week. So we'll pick back up on, I think it's May 10th. So I hope you guys have a good couple weeks, and I'll see you when I'm back. All right, guys. Bye.